I still remember the creak of that old screen door on our tiny trailer in rural Texas, the kind of place where the wind whistled through the thin walls at night, and you could hear every raindrop on the metal roof like it was trying to break in. My name is Millie, and back then I was just a girl with calloused hands and big dreams, living paycheck to paycheck with the man I thought would love me forever. We had nothing but each other. Our trailer sat on a dusty plot of land my grandma left us, barely big enough for two. Jake and I would sit on the rickety porch steps after long days, sharing a single can of soda, talking about the life we'd build. "One day, baby," he'd say, pulling me close. "We're gonna leave this trailer behind. I'll take care of you." His voice was so warm, so sure. I believed him with every piece of my heart. I worked 2 jobs, waitressing at the local diner during the day and cleaning offices at night, just to keep us afloat. Jake drove trucks, gone for weeks at a time. But when he came home, he'd bring me wildflowers he'd picked from the side of the highway and promise me the world. I sacrificed everything for our future. I skipped meals so he could eat better on the road. I stayed up late sewing patches on his work shirts, dreaming of the day we'd finally move into a real house, with a yard where our kids could play. Little did I know, the betrayal was already blooming right under my nose. There were small signs I ignored: the late-night phone calls he'd take outside, the new cologne he started wearing, the way his eyes avoided mine when I asked about his trips. But love makes you blind, doesn't it? I told myself it was just the stress of our hard life. I poured every ounce of my strength into us, believing that if I worked hard enough, loved hard enough, we'd rise together. Until that one rainy afternoon when everything shattered. I came home early from my shift because the diner was slow. My feet ached, my uniform was damp from the storm, but my heart felt light. I had saved up a little extra that month, enough to surprise Jake with a down payment on a small plot of land nearby. I imagined us building our first real home together, brick by brick, just like we'd always talked about. The trailer door was unlocked. That should have been my first warning. I stepped inside, shaking the rain from my hair, and heard voices, soft laughter, the kind that belongs to 2 people who share secrets. My stomach twisted before my mind could catch up. There, in our tiny living room that doubled as our bedroom, was Jake, with her, Sarah, the woman who worked at the trucking company office. She was wearing my favorite robe, the one I'd saved for months to buy. They weren't just talking. The way they looked at each other told me everything. I stood there frozen, the grocery bag slipping from my hands. Cans rolled across the worn linoleum floor. Jake's face went pale. "Millie, it's not what it looks like," he stammered, but his words sounded so hollow, so rehearsed. Sarah just smirked and gathered her things like I was the intruder in my own home. That night, after she left, Jake sat me down and told me the truth that broke me into 1,000 pieces. He had been seeing her for over a year. While I was working double shifts, scrubbing floors on my knees, he was using the money I sent him on the road to wine and dine her. Worse, he had been secretly taking loans in both our names, using our trailer as collateral, to fund a business opportunity he was starting with her. A logistics company, he called it. My name was on everything, but I had signed the papers blindly because I trusted him with my life. I felt shattered. The man I had loved, the one I had built my dreams around, had been draining me dry while planning a future without me. He said he was sorry, that he never meant for it to go this far, but the next morning he packed his bags and left with her. He even had the nerve to say, "You'll be fine, Millie. You're strong. You always land on your feet." I cried for days in that empty trailer. The silence was deafening. Every corner reminded me of the life I thought we had. I stopped eating. I almost lost both jobs because I couldn't pull myself together. The bank started calling, late notices on loans I didn't even know existed. My world felt completely destroyed. How could the person who promised to protect me be the one who stabbed me in the back the deepest? But in the middle of that darkness, something inside me shifted. The pain was so raw, so overwhelming, that it lit a fire I didn't know I had. I was tired of being the girl from the trailer who got stepped on. I refused to let his betrayal define me. I wiped my tears, looked at my reflection in the cracked bathroom mirror, and whispered, "This ends now, Millie. You're going to build the life he tried to steal." I started small, but I started fierce. First, I gathered every document I could find: bank statements, loan papers, text messages he'd carelessly left on an old phone. I hired a good lawyer with the last of my savings, a woman who had seen stories like mine before. She helped me untangle the financial mess Jake had created. Turns out, because I had proof of his deception and financial misconduct, the courts sided with me. The loans were restructured in his name alone, and I kept the trailer and the small piece of land. But that was only the beginning. While Jake and Sarah poured their energy into their so-called business, I worked harder than I ever had in my life. I took online courses at night on business and real estate. I used the tiny equity in the land to start a small mobile detailing service, cleaning trucks and trailers for the very drivers Jake used to work with. Word spread fast in our tight-knit Texas community. People knew my story. They respected my grit. I saved every penny. I lived even simpler than before. No new clothes, no luxuries, just pure determination. Within 2 years, I expanded into fleet maintenance consulting. Then I partnered with a local mechanic who believed in me. My little business grew into a full logistics support company, helping small trucking firms with affordable maintenance packages. Jake's big opportunity with Sarah, it collapsed within 18 months. Bad decisions, overspending, and partnerships that fell through left them buried in debt. The lifestyle they had built on my pain started crumbling. One day, I heard through mutual friends that Sarah had left him too, taking what little was left. But I didn't celebrate their fall with hate in my heart. Instead, I kept building. 5 years after that rainy afternoon in the trailer, I sold my company for a life-changing amount. I moved out of that old trailer and into a beautiful home on the same land, paid in full, with a garden full of the wildflowers Jake once brought me as empty promises. I became a millionaire, not through luck, but through the fire that his betrayal ignited in me. The girl from the trailer didn't just survive, she rose. Soft, reflective music. Looking back now, I realized the deepest revenge wasn't watching them struggle. It was becoming the woman they never thought I could be. Jake tried to break me, but he only revealed the strength I carried all along. If there's one thing I want you to take from my story, it's this. Betrayal cuts deep, but it also shows you who you truly are. When someone tries to destroy your light, don't let the darkness win. Use that pain as fuel. Work hard, stay kind, and build your empire with grace. The best revenge is a life so beautiful that you no longer have space in your heart for bitterness. I'm Millie, and I finally left that trailer behind, not just physically, but emotionally. And darling, if you're listening and your heart is broken right now, hold on. Your comeback story is already being written. If you like my story, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share it.